Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to do a soft landing in Canada as a permanent resident. This is a process that is very popular with the new residents coming to Canada. While when people come to Canada for the first time, they don't have an exact idea of where to land for the first time, how to settle down, and how to bring their savings into Canada, where to rent their first apartment, and stuff around that. So a lot of people these days, especially with the people who are coming with their families, try to do soft landing. uh, Now, what exactly is a soft landing? Making a soft landing in Canada after a lengthy procedures and rigorous process, it takes from the applications to the verification, and every other requirement is as important as the process it takes to obtain your visa for the onward migration. To do a soft landing simply means that all that is necessary to be cleared from the point of entry, having all the necessary documents, meeting all the necessary criterias, doing all that is possible to transit to your new home, which is in Canada, without experiencing any bottlenecks or difficulty that might result from your own part. So basically what it means by the soft landing is you can come to Canada for the first time, clear all your paperwork, do all the necessary checklist items to receive your permanent residency card, and then you can try and go back to your home, settle your stuff, and then come back to Canada to live here. You can do a soft landing as an immigrant if you have completed your permanent residency process and you have the COPR, and you're landing in Canada after receiving your COPR from the IRCC. So, like I said, a soft landing is basically refer to the process where you have not decided to stay in Canada for longer duration and you want to come for the first time, clear all the necessary paperwork, and you can go back to your home country where you filed your application form and take some time before you want to come back. Something that you must remember here, to complete the PR obligation in order to renew your permanent residency after 5 years, you must complete a stay of 730 days out of 5 years to receive your permanent residency status, for to receive a renewal to your permanent residency status. Now, let's go through some of the stuff. What happens when you come for the first time in Canada? So if you go to the website canada.ca, there is a detailed description of what happens when you arrive for the first time in Canada. Now, don't believe what every agent tells you. Go by what canada.ca website informs you about in writing, so you can always refer back to these documents listed right here. So depending on your visa, whether it's visitor, student, or a work permit, you will need different documentation. So you have to make sure that your passport is valid, the dates are valid, and it's in good shape, so as it's a recognizable document. For the proof of funds, there has been a lot of discussions where people have asked whether you need to carry the funds with you when you come for the first time, or then you can bring it later, how much funds you can carry. So when you come for the first time in Canada, you're allowed to bring in $10,000, 10,000 Canadian dollars in total, in cash or any other way. Amounts beyond $10,000 you will need to declare when you enter the port of entry, and you will be asked by the officers how much money you are carrying, and if you're carrying more than that, you have to declare. You probably will not be asked for the source of that funding, but there is a possibility that the officer wants to know, and you should have an answer. For example, when I came to Canada in 5 or 6 years back, whatever money I came with, I had a receipt of that fund exchange, and those funds were coming from my savings account. So make sure you have that paper trail so as not to go into any kind of scenarios with the border officers. Uh, you can have your insurance documents, and this is something that depends on case to case. If you have your insurance coverage here with the, for example, if you're landing in Ontario, feel free to, you will be able to use Ontario insurance, the OHIP insurance. So if you are not, if you're not going to have it, or if you're coming as a visitor for the first time, make sure you have your insurance documents, nicely filed up in a file, printed. That's highly recommended, just in case if your internet doesn't work or you run out of your battery juice. Make sure you have your documents in printed. I had multiple copies just in case. You never know, right? I mean, and never. This is a personal advice. Never keep your documents in the checked-in luggage. You never know uh, if something happens to your luggage. Your documents may not arrive at the right time, and you will be stuck. So that is something that you want to make sure that you carry your documents with you in your cabin luggage, just in case you have it with you. So this Canada.ca website, if you go to this link, which I'll leave in the comment section, you will see each category has its own documentation, uh, what you need to do when you arrive for the first time. So right now you have to use Arrivecan app. It gives a complete detail on what to believe and what not to believe. As you can see, if you arrive in Canada with more than $10,000, you must tell this to the CBSA officers. If you do not tell them, you could be fined. Now, at this stage, if you have further funding that you want to bring along later on from your from your home country, from your savings account, what you can do is where you can declare that in the those that when you land for the first time. Remember, whatever you declare for the first time will not be taxed later on. So let's say if you want to bring in $50,000 in total, you can declare goods to carry or goods to arrive later on. You can bring in a checklist if you want to bring in your furniture, your car, your pets, or whatever it is. You can have that list created, and the CBSE officers, when you arrive for the first time, will be able to stamp it, and you can bring those things later on. You will not be taxed. You don't have to give any clarifications. But if you do not declare and it comes later from your country, it becomes a problem, because now that's taxable. You have to state where it is coming from, and it may be taxable. So those things, and depending on whether you're coming as a provincial nomination, then the advice is you must land in your province where you got nomination from. You must declare your funds. The process is more or less similar, but make sure your documents are nicely laid down in a printed file, 2 copies at least, and make sure you have them handy. And again, insurance is an important stuff. You never know what happens, so make sure you have your insurance in case you will not be covered by the provincial plans. Then you must have it. Another thing that you should have or you can bring is your driving license extract. If you want to drive a car here in Canada without having the driver license here, then you must have the driver license extract. So yeah, those things. But again, those I'll try to cover those things later on. But just for the sake of soft landing, all of these documents, when you bring them first time, when you land here for the first time in Canada, make sure you have them with you. Carry a SIM card if possible. If not, you can use Wi-Fi. And yes, so with that being said, once you arrive, your CBSA officer will be checking these documents, and once he is satisfied everything is in shape, you will be allowed to proceed outside of the airport. And from there, you have so something that I have seen multiple people doing is there is a Service Canada office right outside the exit point in airport, and people line up for their SIM cards. You don't have to do that. You can just go back to your hotel, to your Airbnb, to your rental, to your relatives if you have any, to your friends, and from there find out the nearest Service Canada location and file your SIN number there whenever you have time. You don't have to stand in line after a long flight of maybe 20, 30 hours, and you don't have to stand in that line. So you can do that later on. after you submit your formalities, and yes, during the soft landing you will have to submit your photographs in accordance to the regulations for your permanent residency card. Now that is something that you have to do, and a very popular problem I would say with the IRCC is your photographs may not be accepted and they will be rejected potentially, and you will have to submit new photos. That has happened multiple times with multiple people. Even with someone who actually came here and did the soft landing, went back to India, and that's when he received a message that the photos have been rejected. So he was trying uh, multiple ways to send out the photos right from India to a draw office for the PR card. So that is something that you need to take care of. Make sure if you have someone here, give them an additional set of photographs. Click here in Canada. You can click a photograph with a local photographer, and just keep them with your relatives, friends, just in case if that happens and you have to resubmit. And after approximately 3 to 5 months, usually it's 90 days, but right now it's taking a lot of time for receiving the PR cards. People have been waiting for more than 8 months at times, where they have not received their permanent residency card. So make sure you have time to wait. In case you want to come back earlier than that, then you will need a permanent residency travel document, a PRTD, to travel back to Canada, because without permanent residency card, you are not allowed to enter inside, because your COPR is only valid for the first time, and you get a single entry visa when you get your Canadian permanent residency. So you cannot use anything besides your PR card to enter Canada. So if you want to come back to Canada in the next 3 months or 6 months, make sure you have a plan, because your permanent residency card may not arrive by that time. So before we finish off this video, I can quickly go through some of the questions that usually that are being asked usually. So the first one being, can I do a soft landing in Canada? Well, if you live outside Canada, if you do not have your permanent residency card, you will need a PRTD to return to Canada. You can only apply for a permanent residency travel document, the PRTD, if you are outside Canada. You cannot arrive, you cannot apply for that from within Canada. So make sure you apply for that and use that for travel if your PR card does not arrive on time. Now remember, a PRTD can take up to 3 to 5 weeks to be issued from your home country, depending on your home country. The next question was, can I land anywhere in Canada? So the generic answer is yes, you can land anywhere in Canada. But if you have a provincial nomination, the recommendation is to land in your province, whichever has recommended you. And like I said, a soft landing is basically when you decide to visit or travel to Canada. It can be a travel for leisure, but I won't recommend that. You can just state that you have the permanent residency and you can arrive as a permanent resident because you have all the valid documents. It's important to be financially prepared to extend your stay in case something goes wrong or your timeline doesn't add up. Make sure you have the flexibility to stay in Canada for longer than that. And yes, if you're landing as a refugee, there's a refugee landing fee applicable for each adult that is subject to an assessment of the applications. So that is something that's a separate case. But yes, I mean, besides that, it's a fairly straightforward process. You can go back to your home country, settle your finances and the things around it, and you can come back to Canada when you are in a good shape and you have received your permanent residency card. Now, one more thing that we should cover here: if you receive your permanent residency card in Canada, let's say with your relatives or friends or whatnot, it's shipping permanent residency card by a courier or a mail outside of Canada is illegal. You shouldn't be doing it. So make sure you have someone who can carry your permanent residency card in person and hand it over to you so you can use it to come to Canada. So there's a lot that goes into planning when you're coming here for the first time. make sure you follow through your plan. Make sure you have a backup in case your plan doesn't work out and things show up unexpectedly. It's very important to have those things with you. Make sure you have your documents. What I did was I scanned my documents, saved it to a cloud drive, made two copies of my documents, had it with me, and had the originals with me all the time, just to ensure that I don't lose them, because I don't want to, or no one wants to get into a situation where you lose your, the verification documents, and you get into a situation which you cannot handle at that moment. So yeah, bonus tip for this video will be, do not laminate your permanent residency card. It's an identification document. We did a mistake where we laminated the permanent residency card just to make it safe, but when we tried to onboard the flight from our home country, it was not accepted, so we had to cut the lamination right at that point. So make sure you do not laminate your permanent residency card. Keep it safe, not to, so nothing happens to it basically. Well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.